I love how you normally start it with that line of, what are you doing right now? That's
What
great.
are you doing right now?
Yeah. Well, aside from speaking to the lovely Vanessa Sinclair, which is truly a magic moment too, what am I doing right now? Okay, so I've got a couple of things that are just out now, that I'm very excited about. Firstly is the jewelry from the Thai Capsule project. I spent the last year going around spirit markets in Thailand and putting together charms and jewelry, and I'm very excited about that. It's just come into fruition. And also I've been working with Thai brass-smiths as well to produce some of the jewelry. If I couldn't get what I wanted in the markets, I had it made by Thai
Wow.
brass-smiths, which is great. Like this ring, for example. We had
Amazing.
those made, and they're coming through next week, which will be amazing. Uh, so yeah, the jewelry is really the latest thing that's happening with the Thai capsule. There's ongoing things as well where I'm speaking with Thai artists, for illustrators, musicians, painters, who will be interpreting the stories from the Thai capsule as well. And my wish, my dream one day is to put that into an exhibition where we could feature their art as well. So we put the Thai artists on the platform as well. So that, and I'm also looking at doing some live readings of the stories from the Thai capsule and the world around the Thai capsule as well.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe
Mhm.
that's something we can do for Morbid Anatomy. I told you I want to have you at Morbid Anatomy. Maybe we could have you come and
Oh,
like do some sort of readings.
I'd love that. I'd love that. Yes, that's one of the things that I'm kind of kicking off at the moment. So that would be great. That would be really good.
Excellent. Maybe we
Mhm.
should go back in time a little and like let people know how did you end up in Thailand in the first place, or how did the Thai capsule come about?
Okay, well, so how did I end up in Thailand? Wow, I actually moved to New York. And I, before I moved to New York, I went for a vacation to Thailand, and I was there for traveling around for quite a few months. And the plan was I would do that, get some sunshine, and then go to New York. So I did that, and then while in New York, this was it was 89, perhaps, maybe 90. Um, it was great in New York. I ended up working at the Limelight just as Disco 2000 was kicking off with Mark Alec and all that lot. So as a little kid, it was great doing that. And I got to do some amazing things there, like Felicity Mason had asked me if I could go to the bunker to pick up some Brian Geisen paintings from John Giorno and then take them back to England when I went back. So I did, and I spent an amazing day with John Giorno in the bunker, and where he was showing me everything. So things like that were happening, but I wasn't happy in my core. There was something not right, and I knew that I just had this calling to go back to Thailand. In hindsight, after living there for 30 years, it kind of dawned on me that a lot of the people that became my kind of appointed mentors, like Brian Geisen and William Burroughs and Nico, all spent a good portion of their life living outside the countries that they were born in, and that really added to their development as well. And so maybe that was part of it, and my subconscious um was triggering that. I don't know. But anyway, so I thought, okay, even though New York's great, I'll go back to Thailand, get it out of my system, and then I'll continue with going back on the New York journey. So I did that, went back over there, and just 30 years later, I'm still, whenever I'm not there, like now I'm in London, it's still pulling me back. There's something always pulling me back there. Um, Another thing about the being in Thailand, I realized that so many of my personality traits and the core characteristics that I have, my behavioral tendencies are similar to Thai things in Thailand. And really from the fact that when I went there, I still wasn't shaving my face, I was plucking it. And then I noticed that a lot of the Thai men also would pluck their face rather than shave it. When I was a little kid, I was constantly told off because I had my finger up my nose, picking my nose constantly. In Thailand, it's acceptable behavior. You know, you can just sit on a bus picking your nose, it's fine. Sorry for grossing your listeners
Everybody
out.
does it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're not allowed to put your fingers in your mouth. That is disgusting to the
Mm.
Thai people. I'm okay with that. So there were all a lot of, even my name. So this is kind of quite fascinating when I discovered this just like 5 years ago. So my name B, I got the name B in about 1981. No, 82. I was doing I'd launched a solo career just as a singer B. Before that, I'd been doing stuff in Japan with boy bands, playing keyboards and things. But I wanted to do my own thing. So, and the guy that I was working with suggested that we pick an androgynous name, because the whole image was going to be, what is this kind of, you know, now we would say kind of non-binary creature? Is it male, female? What is it? And so we decided to pick a name. And so I was thinking of a name, and then the guy just came up and said, "Hey, listen, I've just seen this film Emmanuel, and there was a character in it called B. Let's go with that." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then I watched the movie, and it was the black maid from Emmanuel was called B. And I'm like, okay, that, yeah, you know. So I took on that name and used it for my solo stuff, and it just stuck. It just seemed right. And when I got to Thailand, years later, I noticed that Thai B is also a name in Thailand. Lots of people are called B, and male and female are called B. That relates to whether they're the first, second child, like A is the first child, B is the second child, not really often C. But so when I was working at a magazine, editing a magazine, I decided to look into promoting Thai writers and just delving into that world. And I discovered, much to my shock, that the woman that wrote the Emmanuel, which is in, you know, those Sylvia Crystal kind of semi-porn movies that were in the theaters in the 80s, the woman that wrote it was Thai. So
Mm.
the reason she put the maid being called B is actually because she'd used to it in the Thai context of it being a Thai name. So I'm like, wow, that was years before I even thought about going over there. So there's been this calling in my spirit, I think, to that place. Other people have said that. Peter Christopherson from Coil, he moved over years later. He was living with me for a while, and then he got his own place, and he spent maybe the last 10 years of his life there. And he said to me also that he felt that there was some in his heart, there was some attachment to Thailand, and he could not explain it. So yeah, so that's my connection with Thailand. And the Thai capsule, if I can put that into the story. So I started writing a book, which I'm still working on. I've been working on for years. And the book, it fluctuates between becoming a memoir and then fiction. At the moment, it's kind of fiction because it's strayed so far away from the truth. But basically, it was going to be me growing up, because I was born in the north of England in a place called Barnsley, which is a real small mining town. And I was born on a council estate there, in a very brutal, very rough environment. Being a little kid that looked like a little girl, and you know, and different to everyone, that was a very dangerous place to grow up. And so basically, I kind of knew from day one that I had to get the fuck out of Dodgeville as soon as I could. So in the story that I'm writing, the the main character is this kid in Barnsley, and it goes through some of the things that happened to him in Barnsley in the 70s, growing up in that place, and then eventually he ends up in Bangkok, and he takes with him this friend, a female friend who is very close to, basically, and they're like little club kids, and they end up in Bangkok, and so they had lots of adventures in Bangkok. And one day after a heavy night out on the town in the clubs with all the kind of little Thai club kids and stuff, they're both sat in this dodgy guest house in Bangkok, this really grubby guest house, and she notices under the wardrobe is a metal box, and she's like, oh, what's that? And she stares at it, and then she bends down and she reaches out and fishes out this big metal box, and then she opens it, and inside is a cassette tape, because it's the 80s, and there's a book, and there's these like spiritual little trinkets and all these things, and photographs of like older Thai photographs, and amongst them is also a photograph of them, of the both of them, and she looks,
Mm.
and she goes, oh, fuck off, you so put that in there, you're fucking with me. And the guy's like, no, I did not, and that was the clothes we were wearing last night. How would I get it, in there developed and stuff? And so then the Thai capsule comes into this story, and basically it's like, I view it as Cares, or I guess a lot of American viewers wouldn't know Cares. Cares is a 70s story, 60s or 70s story of a kid growing up in Barnsley, like Billy Elliot, let's say Billy Elliot type, goes through the looking glass with a bunch of Thai ladyboys, is because it then becomes very surreal, all the stuff that starts happening. Because in the book, which is this is the book that they find in the Thai capsule, and it's got it. I frame it as kind of like animism on acid. So the stories in here, although some Thai spirits may make a little appearance, none of it is true. I've made everything up. I didn't want what I don't like to demystify Thailand and Bangkok. I don't like things that do that, whether it's the books on the magic, or it's whether it's the guidebooks. I never did it myself. I would also always have this journey of discovery where I would find things out without being told. I'd have no preconceptions of things. That was always very important to me. When I first went to Thailand, I did look in a guidebook in W.H. Smith's in London, and I looked at where it said you should go and stay, and it was a place called the Khao San Road. Everyone goes there, so I'm like, fuck, I'm not going there. So also it said there was a place called Sangam Dupli, and it said avoid this place, it's full of junkies, prostitutes, and thieves. I went
Great.
straight, lived there for 3 years. I was there for 3 years, so I did use a guidebook for that. But yes, you get a lot of books which demystify Bangkok, and they explain why this happens, and half the time they're not even right. Even ones on time magic, they're not even right. It's bullshit. And for me, it's the spoiler, and it's like, don't do that. Go and find out yourself. And so with the Thai capsule, nothing is true, everything is permitted. That's my rule. But yeah, some things are true in there, and some things are totally not. So there therefore the possibilities are endless of what, how real is real. So that was an important thing. So yeah, so then I decided, I wrote it into my story. And then I thought, hey, why not actually make a Thai capsule? And because I get carried away with things, I thought, yeah, if I'm making one, I should make 60. Don't know where the number came from. But I ended up making 60, and I've got one here which I could show you briefly. So I also had like Each one comes in one bag. So like they're like these big. These are actual cases that old guys in Thailand keep their amulets in. They're actually real amulet cases. So I had 60 of them made, and inside, I don't know if you, and I lined them all with original. These are all from
Beautiful.
original Thai newspapers from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then I
Incredible.
put like had trinkets made, and then I put trinkets inside. Like there's one story about the birds in Thailand. It's now illegal, but you'll see these old ladies, and they sit outside the temples, or they used to. They still do actually, even though it's illegal. And they'll have these little birds in cages, and you go and you pay money, and to the little old lady, and then she gives you the cage, and you open it, and then the bird flies away, and you get instant good karma. Of course, it's, the birds are trained to come back. So, but and also they banned it because there was a lot of abuse with the birds as well. So I had these made, which are identical like replicas. So I got Thai model makers to make these little cages with the little bird inside, you can see.
Incredible.
But in my story, these old ladies, um, basically it's trickery, which we often found around temples anywhere in the world. Or it's trickery and it's a ploy. The birds are little familiars inside the cages, and they're linked to these other birds called the shadu birds, which are basically also known as shadow suckers, because they suck out the souls from people that have a guilt triggered response by not giving the money to the lady. So they hang around that. I go through, it's kind of a complex story, but I go through it all in the book. So yeah, so I twist things. I like to look at things that I see there, and then put my own twist and interpretation on that, and just kind of fuck with reality and expand reality as well. And I think that's something I do. And your psychoanalyst audience, that I know you have, a lot of people listening that are well versed in that, will probably have a field day with this, because I was thinking before about doing this podcast and things like that, and I thought about, in my past, growing up in that very brutal council estate, a very young age. I was in all the time. The moment I left the house, and actually my brother was quite abusive too. So I would get shit all the time, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why do you look like that? Why do you act like that? What are you, a boy or a girl? It was all this really kind of bullying, but and real extreme violent behavior sometimes. And my way of dealing that, so I was this little thing, I would be that I would internalize everything. And so I created this world in my head, which was a quite nightmarish world, actually. And there would be these demons that I would battle and wrestle with, and I would win them in my head. I would always be the victor. On the outside, I couldn't do that. So I would internalize it, and then I would fight with these demons, and then win it in my head. So that became a real a kind of addiction, actually. I got really into this whole fantasy projection world in my head. But it was also really cathartic as well. And I got a real it nurtured my self-awareness, and it was kind of like, I think it was like emotional healing as well, that I wasn't, I could be victorious in something. And so I would use, like, later I would use other spirits like alcohol to tap into that world, and drugs as well. And then when I got sober, I realized that the best way to access that is through spirituality and faith, and and that's the best kind of nurturing one can do for one's spirit. And so that's become a thing in more recent years. But it really was yeah, it came from that negativity and that harsh environment, and it was a survival instinct that I called on this kind of spirituality and to overcome what I had to deal with in the real world. So maybe that's still today me wrestling with all that and the things that I do. Music was a big release for me too, and that was a way I could conquer the demons, and I could deal with these, you know, with these things that were troubling me. And also, I'd like to add that it's not a real negative. It's not all negative, because through that adversity, I did find my own pack, my own tribe of people. I, you know, I'm still close with my father, and my mum passed away, but with my sister and that. So I do have that connection. But I moved away from where I was born, and I found my own tribe. And I was very lucky, um, because the way the universe lined up, it was in the early 80s. And that's when I met people like Genesis and Jeff and Sleaze and David Tibet and all these super creative people that were also creating their own world as well. So I hitched a ride on that. It was amazing. Even before that, I remember being a little kid, and I watched this Manson snuck downstairs and watched Helter Skelter as a kid, and I'm like, I want to go and live with those people. Nothing to do with the murders at all, but it was this other existence. Either that, or I wanted to be in the Partridge Family. Anything that I wasn't, I was drawn towards. Um, so yeah, I got very lucky in that respect, that I ended up moving to London and then hanging with this crowd that became, you know, either like mentors with people like, you know, Sleaze and Jeff and stuff as well. So yeah, that was really lucky. Yeah, so that's where we are with the Thai Capsule. That I still haven't. I'm still working on the main. The main book is called High on Platforms, um, and so I'm still in writing that. So it's still. I don't know when it'll be finished, if ever. Yeah.
Well, it sounds amazing. I'm currently working on my own kind of, it's like a cut up novel, like Burroughs style, but it also has like scenes from real life. And it started to become more surreal. So now I feel like inspired, where like it's okay that it's going that direction. And I'll just keep letting it get more and more surreal, because like, why not? You know? Just go where it
Exactly.
leads. And
The
I love how you're
freedom.
taking like an object that you found in the book and then creating it in real life. And then that's going to kind of add to the whole experience and see where all of it goes.
It does, doesn't it? I just love once you have that license to do whatever you want, it opens up this whole world of creativity, and you know, it's very far away from the world of academia, which does has its place in the world too. It does, but it's not for me. You know, I left school when I was 16, uh, and the school I went to was voted the worst school in England and then raised. It was like knocked down. Uh, and but that didn't hold me back either, because I had never stopped reading since then as well. And I just hung out with people that did do well in school and modeled them and picked up things from that too. But yeah, that artistic license of leaving the realms of some truth or whatever,
The
it's just
rationale.
so refreshing. Yeah, anything can happen. I love that. I really love that. It's just so freeing. And it's what I've done since I was a kid. I had to do it as a survival mechanism when I was growing up, because it was so brutal outside. I had to retreat inside. And so I've just stuck there, and I've never left it. I've never stopped going there. Um,
But it seems
yeah,
that this is why there's so much great art and music that's come out of England, because
yeah,
it has been historically pretty brutal.
right. It is, isn't it? And we look at the times, like, you know, when punk rock came out, that was like, it was so hard then, you know, with the strikes that were happening, and oh, it was so hard. and then later in the 80s with the Thatcher, with all the rave and acid house culture that came out, was amazing. It was really amazing. It is in those oppressed times that some of the best art happens. It really does. Yeah, it's that fine line, isn't it, between maintaining and staying above it all and still creating. To me, the key of everything is to create. If I get really, down or depressed and stuff, sometimes my only way out of it is to actually make something from it, write something, or put something together. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's use this moment to have people listen to the Thai Capsule trailer so they can hear a piece of it for themselves.
Roll up for the fake death kick. Experience the kill of a lifetime and live to tell. Hissing and screeching like a sack of cats, a bunch of cackling girls and speed queens hover over a cute Cambodian motorcyclist. Hey, first star on the right and straight on till morning. Fire in his eyes, blood, gasoline, death, orgasm. Satanic black hair, acid, shakes and shudders. Time, death. You wake up at the side of the road. Fate smells, gasoline. Memory spirits, you don't have to just protect the present. Every thought you've ever had, they can weed their way through them. And if there's one moment of insecurity, they can just sweep inside it like a sperm entering the egg. The idea is formed. Waits. Doubles, triples. And then the snake oil pump pretends to deliver curses and shit. Cartoon visual. There's an old Indian shrine hidden away in the back streets of Bangkok's garment district. The E on the entrance sign has been tampered with, so now it reads, "In trance." A life-size statue of a young Indian girl. Her name is Cartoon Visual, the key that unlocks the age-old question, how will death finally take me? The scene jerks and shifts into fast-forward mode. George, who's now at death's door, stumbles into the shrine. A car steering wheel lodged in his chest spits out bits of broken teeth and dashboard. I want my fucking gold back!
I love it. It's so good.
Thank you.
And then
you.
this legend that you mentioned, is that this legend that you sent me the link to?
Which one was that?
This legend.
That actually is that's not in the actual Thai capsule. That is actually one of the myths that is a true myth. But so many people ask me about that. That's the spirit Sihu Hata, and Sihu Hata is the incarnation of Indra. But I must say that 9.5 Thai people that I ask have never heard of it. There's very few, unless you're really into the spirit world, then you would know, but most people never ever recognize the five-eyed monkey spirit. But that is one of the true.
This?
Yes, that's him. See who I also have. Let me show you something. I also got these from the spirit market too. Wow. This is also him.
Oh, and wow.
You see who Hata, you know it's him because he's eating red hot curls. So he eats the red hot curls and then he shits them out as gold. There is a pile of steaming gold. Yeah, and here's another. This is a brass one of him too. See, once again,
Incredible.
he's eating the red hot coals, and then he's shitting them out as gold.
Legend of Siddhartha. Indra, the king of heaven, looked down to earth and saw a hard-working farmer tirelessly ploughing his fields. After slaving away all day, at sunset he would head home to dutifully care for his elderly mother with tenderness and love. Impressed by his diligence, Indra decided to reward him. But first, because this is what gods do, he decided to test the farmer's humanity. Indra turned himself into a peculiar-looking monkey and descended from the heavens to earth. As the blazing sun began to dip in the cloudless sky, the farmer was tending his crops when he noticed a strange beast scurrying about. It was a monkey with 4 ears and 5 eyes, unlike anything he'd seen before. The monkey looked hungry, so the farmer offered it some of his freshly picked bananas. To his surprise, it ravenously wolfed them up, skins and all, leaving nothing behind. Days rolled by. The farmer continued to offer the creature food that he was harvesting, and even shared his own meals with the poor critter. The monkey, who he named Siddhartha, grew to trust the farmer and would follow him around as he worked, chattering away in his own strange language. One day, the farmer was away in town getting supplies and medicine for his sick mother. Siddhartha began to pick at the crops in the field. When the farmer returned, he was devastated to discover that Siddhartha had greedily gobbled up the lot. Overcome with anger, the fuming farmer caught Siddhartha, put him in chains, and locked him in the barn, leaving the monkey alone in the dusky darkness. Hours later, a fierce storm began to brew. Ice-cold winds swept across the fields. The farmer thought about Siddhartha alone in the freezing barn. He took him some food and, using kindling wood and charcoal, built a fire so the creature wouldn't freeze to death. As the night wore on, the farmer began to feel an even greater sense of guilt and compassion. He knew that he had acted rashly and that he had not shown the monkey the kindness that he always prided himself on. The next morning, the farmer decided he would let the creature go free, so he went back to the barn to do just that. He lifted the latch and slowly pushed the old creaking door open. As he peered in the dimly lit barn, he saw Siddhartha crouched beside the remains of the fire, staring into the molten ashes. The monkey turned to stare at the farmer with wild eyes, and then began furiously devouring the red-hot coals. A faint whiff of sulfur filled the air. To the farmer's astonishment, the monkey started shitting fiery coals. Soon, steaming piles of molten gold nuggets filled the barn. Siddhartha turned to face the farmer once more. This time, a huge grin adorned his face. He raised his arms and took off into the air with graceful, majestic movements, soaring higher and higher towards the heavenly realms above. The farmer was left with a sense of awe, inspiration, and riches.
Yeah, he's the manifestation of my kind of my higher power spirit, and it's said that devotees of Siddhartha, you must live a very pure life because he's always watching and he's always listening. So I kind of like that as well. Yeah.
Incredible. And I mean, Thailand is such a magical place, and I love what you said about not having these books that like over explain or try to explain, because historically all the Westerners going places and explaining what people are doing are not correct.
Exactly. That's totally it, isn't it? And I don't want to be that, you know, I don't, you know, I'm aware of appropriating things. I don't. I was once due to do an exhibition in the UK, and at the last minute they pulled out because they said it was appropriation, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, hang on, okay, first of all, there were Thai artists contributing artwork that they made, A. B, I didn't just like pick up National Geographic and think, oh, that's nice, I'll do something about that. I immersed myself in Thai culture for 30 years.
For 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, I was there, and you know, I kind of, you know, I've worked in the Thai industry with artists and musicians for 30 years too. From, you know, doing I did a radio show, and then I was in a band with Thai people in the band too. I worked in, you know, clubs with Thai people. I totally immersed myself in Thai culture. And I think kind of for some reason, because I don't fit into my own culture really much, but I fit in really well there. I remember one time, I was working, I got a job at a media company, and they own the second biggest English language newspaper, and they also had a TV station. And they told me, they said, hey, we'll put you in the TV station because, but you won't be there for long, because no Westerner has ever been there for more than 2 months, because they just can't get on with all the big head anchors and the news team. So once you've had it there, we'll move you on to the newspaper side. I did that for 5 years. I was there until the government shut the TVs, because it was kind of, you know, anti-government. They shut it down in the end, but I was there right until the end. I think one has to be very fluid to navigate living in, I'm not sure about all foreign places, but for Thailand you definitely have to be very fluid, which I feel that I can, you know, be as well. Yeah, it is it's my home, but I'm also not one of those people that you hear it a lot where they say, oh, you'll never be accepted by the Japanese, the Chinese, whatever. And it's like, well, I wasn't accepted by my own people, so I've got no designs on being accepted by any culture. I you know, I prefer to live outside and on the edge. I mean, I've you know, I've been an outcast all my life, and I'm happy with that. I don't want to be, you know, I think I should be worried if ever I'm accepted. I like to hang out with the outcasts. I think it's more stimulating, it's more pure, that lack of conformity, and you know, and it's something that I've always adhered to. Like when I first was hanging out with Psychic TV and in the temple, and there were a few people saying, why haven't you got that haircut? You know, the skinhead haircut with the little thing at the back. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I don't conform. And as I would, you know, later find out, that was also expected, that you didn't really conform with that as well. So yeah, that lack of I guess it's a punk attitude as well. Maybe I picked up some of it from that too, but I think mostly it comes from that rejection, really. It's my antidote to rejection, is to if they call you a freak, then really act even more like a freak as well. I think especially in these times today, I think it's kind of required. Yes.
Really own it. I feel like the most authentic people don't fit in with the norms though, because if you're like really being true to yourself, I mean, like as far as like sexuality, like everybody's born like bisexual, pansexual, just sexual, and then we like fit ourselves into these little categories based on what is expected of us, you know. And I think that happens with like all aspects of our personality. We're like kind of so open, and then we just get narrow and narrow an idea of what we should be. So I feel like the people who are kind of more authentic and like true to their spirit or themselves don't fit into all these boxes, because the boxes are man-made, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And even even myself, when I tell myself I'm something, like when I first realized and identified and came out as being gay, I then started dating a girl. I'm like, it's almost like even myself, I'm like that with myself. As soon as I say
Like,
I like,
really?
I'll stop. It's like, what? Hang on. It's like, what? And the thing is to be fluid again and follow it. That for me is the big thing about whether it's anti-aging, whether it's sexuality, whether be fluid. Fluidity is the key, I think, to most, and also with my art as well. Like, you know, I would tell myself I can't draw, but then I would teach myself to draw something, and then bam, I could do it. I did it. And that's the thing, is to be fluid. Don't listen to that inner voice or those people around you, the outer voice that tells you no, you can't. Question everything and do it, and do it as good as you can. That's been another thing. When I was at that terrible school, the English teacher wouldn't put me down for the exams and said I would never amount to anything. I ended up becoming an executive editor at a magazine, and he actually got fired for sleeping with one of the students. But it's a bit of comic revenge there. And so yeah, that's the key as well, is to don't limit oneself in that too. Yeah.
And I also just have to say, you have the best aesthetics. Like, you have like my favorite aesthetics and like all of your music. Like, I was already listening to some of it, but I've been like really listening to it in preparation for you to come on. And like Into a Circle, it's just like you're blowing my mind. Like, I love this
Really?
music so
Oh,
much. It's so good.
Thank you. That's really sweet. Into a Circle is like the band that never happened, really, because there's very few people that know about that band. It was totally brushed over, and that's fine. I kind of don't mind that in a lot of ways. Financially, it would be great to have some money, but in every other aspect, it's like another thing that's never been discovered. It's never been discovered. So yeah, we've got a new single coming. It's the final one. We've finished now. This next single that's coming out is going to be the last one, and it's basically it's called Tomorrow Today, and it's about me meeting not just Genesis, but like all those people at that time, and making this kind of decision of, you know what, am I going to really go on this kind of journey with the outsiders on the edge, because this is the commitment, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go. So it's about, basically it's like dropping out, and really dropping out. But the cover, like because they asked me to do the cover for it too, and I was thinking of what I could do, and I was looking through my old pictures, my old photographs of the last couple of years and stuff, and the one that sprung up was when I went to the exhibition of Genesis, the one in New York
At the Rubin Museum.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Wasn't it? And the one with the hand which is out. So I'd taken with me I'm wearing this one of the bangles that the girls, when Jen passed, the girls sent me some of the bangles that Jen would wear all the time. And I had that with me. And so I did a photograph of me passing the bangle back to Genesis's hand. And that's what I'm going to use. Also, the chorus is Force the Hand of Chance, which, as some people may know, is a Psychic TV album title as well. I just wanted to give some respect to, like, as I said, not just Jan, but Peter Christopherson and Jeff, John Balance, and all those people that were so pivotal for me in the journey that would become the life since. It really was. So I just wanted to give a little nod to that as the final Into a Circle, especially
Yeah,
because
perfect to have it as a circle.
yeah, exactly, and two hands, one circle, so it just fits as a bookend to the whole story, because kind of Jen was there right at the beginning as well, when I first hooked up with those people that became Into a Circle. So yeah, so I kind of like I wanted to do a nod to that. But now we've finished that project, and hopefully there'll be more music projects. That I'm speaking with John Gosling, who was around the scene that time too. He arrived about the same time as I did, and worked with Psychic TV and Coil. He was one of the very few people, I can't think of anyone else really, that remained friends with both sides of that camp when they, because it was a very kind of abrasive split when Jeff and John Barneson and Slick left. Most people were on one camp or the other, but John and I remained friends with both. And so he came down to an Into Circle show, and we spoke afterwards, and he said, "Oh, we should do something together." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, I would love that." So hopefully that will be one of the next projects that I do will be something with John Gosling. So yeah, so
That would be great, because you just played a few shows as Into the Circle.
Yeah, we just did 2 shows. That was it. We didn't want to. I kind of done what we wanted to do with Into a Circle, and some of the songs were like, 35, 40 years old, and I don't really relate to them. And people were, "Oh, you have to perform the old songs," and it was like, well, why? And so if we continued on that trajectory, I'd constantly be asked to do old things that I perhaps didn't feel anything for. So I just thought, you know what, just shut it down and just leave it really. And it will become, it's done basically.
Well, it's perfect as it is. So good.
One should know when to walk away. It's like when you're painting a picture or something, or when you've written a song or something, then you really need to know when is the right time to walk away. I think that's one key to being an artist as well, is to know when something's done. And I feel that with Into Circle it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, and how about Futon and Getting the Fear? Getting the Fear just had your album pressed recently, last year, yeah?
Yeah, they did. I mean, Getting the Fear, the thing with Getting the Fear is the elements of that were working, I took with Into a Circle, which was Barry and I really. So I doubt there would be any Getting the Fear. Futon, the thing with Futon is that we're all over the world. Like there's one in Japan, there's 2 in Thailand, there's me in London, there's one in Ibiza. So I'm not sure if anything would happen with that. That was a fun project. Futon was real fun. That was great. That was really great. Yeah, I did love it a lot. But I think that's kind of done its course too, really.
Well, they're all on Spotify, so I'm going to link to all of them for everybody.
Oh, great.
So they can check them out.
Yeah, there was some very fun stuff with Futon. Yeah, and there's a new. There is something new coming out, but I'm not allowed to speak about it yet because I signed an NDA.
I have something we can speak about though, because Carl says hi, of course, and he told me to tell you that the Geisen book new edition is wrapped and it's going to be out like soon, but probably by the time this is out in a couple of weeks, it'll be out.
Oh wow, amazing!
Yeah.
And maybe the thing that I can't speak about, which is I'm going to be very careful now.
I know what it is. So if it's out, then I will be sure to mention it in the beginning of this podcast too, and plug it there.
Clue? You want to drop a clue in case it's not? Let me say, I'm narrating something I didn't write. That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
But no, I will definitely, if it's released by the time this comes out, I'll definitely plug it in the beginning too.
Yeah, because I'm really excited about that too. So that's yeah. So there'll be more things coming as well, music wise, hopefully. And writing, maybe I'll finish this book. Jen and I, he kind of won that battle, because Jen and I always used to go, "When are you gonna finish your fucking book?" And I would say to Jen, "When are you gonna finish your fucking book?" but Jen's book was finished, so I should get my shit together and finish mine. But I feel that, I don't know how you think about this, but I feel that there's this muse that only gives us things when we're ready to do it. And with this high on platforms book, I do spend time on it, but it's not there, and it's not, but I feel I'm not being given the keys to some doors that I have to open to complete it. And I don't know why yet, but it's a real gut feeling. I don't think I'm procrastinating. I really don't. But it's not, there's something not cooked yet that needs to be cooked before it's completed. So I'm a big believer in that.
I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in the process too, especially this sounds like a very magical creative bug, and
I,
like everything will come out in its time, you know. And it sounds like if you're creating these things, these objects to go out into the world, they're gonna like somehow feed back, and like that's gonna become part of the book. And it sounds like a whole process that's like working in your life,
yeah.
and also reaching out to other people's lives through these magical objects. So I think it will come out, yeah, when it's
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
needs to be birthed.
Yeah, I think so too. Had I finished it 15 years ago, then it wouldn't have the tie capsule because I hadn't put that element in yet. So yeah, I think that's it. There's some things that need to be placed before the final ending comes.
Hmm. And
We'll
in the
see.
meantime, people can enjoy these wonderful pieces of jewelry.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of loving these. Yeah, I'm kind of loving these. That there was a lot of work going into like putting them together and even finding them and deciding which, because each of the spirit charms, there's meaning behind it. They're not switched on. I must say that they haven't been switched on. I could have taken them somewhere and had them blessed and switched on, but I decided not to. I decided that if people want to switch them on, then they have the perfect vessel to do that, basically. But I decided not to do it, have it done myself, which would have been not difficult at all. But that was a really conscious decision. Also, I think that magically, once something is switched on, you really have to work around it in a different manner. Like I know friends that have bought spirit houses from Thailand, and I've said to them, don't switch it on. Do not switch it on, because the moment you offer blessings, or the moment and you call those spirits into that spirit house, you're going to have to do it every day. And if you're not prepared to give it the best spot in your house, to give it what it, water and blessings and respect every day, those spirits are going to come and fuck with you. And they're Thai spirits, which are really they're like the super spirits. I feel that. Thai ghosts and Thai spirit, yeah,
Don't
I'm
fuck with them.
you don't fuck with them. You really don't. I mean, I think it was Sleaze that said that, like, he felt that in Thailand, that veneer between the reality and the spirit world is super fine, that you can easily cross through on both sides. So watch out. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, and that magic, and it's so present in just like the culture and life and every day there. You can
yeah.
just feel it walking around.
Every day, whether you're walking past a building, if you see the thing, you'll for safe passage, just walking past it. If you're a guy and you want to take a piss up a tree in some country area, you'll wire the tree and the spirits in the tree just in case it's a charged tree. You're totally aware of those spirits all the time. It's something that I've always been switched on to as well. Don't fuck with that, really.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, that's why I didn't want the Thai capsule jewelry. I made a point of saying that it's not switched on. I mean, there are people that will sell online and stuff, that will sell things like that, which is really thoughtless, basically, because you really, that's it's crazy. You shouldn't be doing that at all.
Yeah, and especially if people that are getting it don't really understand what they're getting, what they're
No,
accepting, what they're bringing into
no,
their home,
no.
or
You don't know the
they don't have
problem.
the proper relationship with those entities.
No, no. It's really like, you've got to be very careful. It's like, I listened to the Audible of The Exorcist the other week, which was fantastically read by the author Peter Blatty. It's my second favorite Audible now. But that I just realized that, wow, you could really compare that with Thai spirits as well. The craftiness and the malevolence, and you really can. So it's like one should have nothing but the utmost respect. But I also believe that if you don't go there, you're okay. Generally. I remember one story, and I put this in the Thai Capsule book. When we first moved, this girl and I, when we first moved to Bangkok, and we lived in this amazing apartment block. All our neighbors all worked in the bars in Pat Pong, so they were all the guys and the women that worked the bars, and us, basically these little club kids. And we decided to move up onto the top floor, and we got this room 3, I think it was like 328, and the boys, they said to us, "Oh wow, that room's this is good." They said basically that room, there's the spirit that lives in that room, because there was some woman that had abortion's legal in Thailand. She had an abortion in the room, and the spirit of the baby spirit is there. And they said, so but basically they said it'll fuck with you, but you'll have really, really good luck. And oh my God, I think we lasted about 4 months there. And during that time, not every night, but some nights we would have the most horrendous nightmares, and we would both wake up at exactly the same time. And these like spirits were eating our hands and doing all. It was very similar nightmares we would have all the time. It was never in the waking world that we had any malevolent stuff, but always in that dream world. And we had it an awful lot. But at the same time, we were sharing our money because we were just living together at the time. And then she went out one day and she went, "Oh my God, I've just met this guy, really gorgeous looking Thai guy, and he's super rich, and he just gave me like, I think it was like £800, and said, oh, go shopping and buy yourself something." And then she met this hot young Thai guy that was super rich and just kept throwing the money like crazily at her. Like, it was insane. It was like, winning the lottery. So yeah, on both counts they were right. It was scary, really scary, terrifying, but we had amazing luck. Actually, and then we moved out, and then the guy moved on to another girl that he became obsessed with. But
the next girl who moved into that room.
yeah. But it totally was exactly as they told us it was going to be. So part of the I put the artwork from a drawing that I did at the time. I woke up one night so scared that I just drew what was in my head, and it was this drawing of her annihilated on the bed with this ghost spirit with its heart ripped out, standing above us. And that was from, so I didn't draw that from memory. I drew it at the time and got it from an old notebook, and then I put it in the book that's in the Thai capsule. The Thai capsules are a bit expensive because basically to make them cost so much. And so I decided that on my website, I do have the books and other things which are much cheaper, because I had to have them at a higher price. But then I wanted stuff, available to people that didn't have much too. So there's the books on there too as well. Yeah. So yeah, Thai spirits. Yeah.
Incredible. And I have to say, since you mentioned Peter Christopherson, I think the work he did there with the Form Grows Rampant, the special house boys choir in Thailand, that is some of his best work. That album is amazing.
He changed so much. I knew Sleaze not as well. I knew Jeff, his partner John Balance, very well in the 80s and 90s, but when Sleaze moved over to Thailand, spent the last 10 years of his life, I've never seen a person's character change as much as he became. He just tuned into this different personality and became so much more content, and he moved into his own head, and he was always laughing, and but he really tuned into that the spirit world too there. He really did. And we was, because he lived around the corner when he got his own place, so we would see each other all the time. In fact, the band Futon, originally there were 4 members, and Sleazy used to call himself the 5th Futon because he actually he helped us like mix the songs. He did a live sound. He built websites. He did covers for releases. He loved doing it all. So yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, but his Threshold House stuff was really tuned into, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And all these people are so magical because somehow I've never talked to you about my trajectory, but like I was this little goth kid in Miami, and my mom kicked me out when I was 15, and I used to just basically spend all night at the club, this like one goth club, and like sleep in the park or abandoned buildings or whatever, and just like basically live there, you know? And I was like hooking up with one of the bouncers so I could, you know, be free, get free drinks and all that stuff there.
Yeah.
And then I used to steal CDs from him when I would sleep at his house. And I
Okay.
stole the Tainted Love CD that had like Tainted Love on one side and Panic on the other. And I had no idea who these people were, but I
Wow.
just like put it on when I, you know, got to wherever I was and put in my little Walkman or CD
Ooh.
man or whatever they're called now. And I was just like, what is this? And I was like reading the liner notes and how all of this like benefits AIDS research and stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, who does this? Like, this
Yeah.
is incredible. It just like blew my like 16-year-old
Yeah.
brain wide open, you know? And then like anything I could find by them, I was like, who are these people? Like, I just obsessed. They were like a lifeline because, you know, this is Miami. So it's all like, you know, like Gloria Stefan and stuff like stuff, you know, it's like
Oh my
really
God.
like
Wow.
not my scene. So it was just like I had this like tiny little goth scene, and then like I just like grabbed onto these people. I was like, I don't know who these people are, but like I understand these people. Like these people, I love them. And then like yeah, I've just like followed this train. And even Annie, I used to listen to like Things Happen all the time, and I just would listen to that song over and over, like who is this person who made this song? Like this is incredible. Just like put me in a place I needed to be. And then when I met Annie, and she's like, I have no idea why I moved to Miami, and we were like at her house one night or something. I was like, maybe all listening to you like, channeled you here. And she's like, maybe, because I don't know why I'm here.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I love Annie too. That's her. She's a magical person.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
yes.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, that time was very potent for Coil as well. I really, yeah. It really was. And there's so many special memories of both of them, because they used to come over to Bangkok and hang out, and just we'd just be like for weeks together, just like hanging out in Thailand, and going off to like elephant centers, and then we went off to Vietnam and stuff, and so many special memories there. Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. Yeah, to get to, that was the good thing about being in Thailand. Although I missed a lot of friends, being away for like the whole of the 90s and 2000s, the great thing was that when people did come over, I would get to see them like all the time. It was like, and it was special, high quality time. Whereas if we were all in London, I would probably not, the amount of hours we would spend together wouldn't even maybe be the same. So it really was quality time. So that made it really special too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also a good testament. Like, I think you're right. Like, there is some aspect of like always being an outsider, you know? But then
Yes.
there's this other aspect that you described, like where it becomes a conscious choice. You're like, am I gonna go with the outsider, like rebels? Like, am I gonna follow this? And then you're like, hell yeah. But there is a point, like I remember making that choice too, like, you know, am I gonna go this way? And it's like, yeah, that's the way I'm gonna go. And
Yeah.
I think it's just a testament to how important it is to keep doing that and like being true to yourself, because it helps other people that are in that position too. They're like, oh, there's more of us like this, and it helps them like go that way as well, instead of feeling like they need to go into these like, you know, places that are of conformity that just make you feel dead inside, you know.
Completely. That's really fascinating that you noticed the actual time too. That's
Mhm.
fascinating. I do wonder one thing, because back in the day, if I was in the 80s, early 80s, and I was on the tube and I saw a person sitting opposite me with, say, a Prince Albert ring in their ear, I instantly knew then on the spot that that person was into piercing, and if they were into piercing, they were probably into other things. And or if they had some tattoo that was just a bit off the norm. It was a real tribal kind of badge. But now I wonder, because like if I saw someone with a PA on the tube opposite me or an interesting tattoo, I wouldn't think twice. So how do these people identifying markers, can they still be as discerning as we could back then? Is there, I mean, do they have to, maybe the internet would provide that. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, because it turns into just like fashion,
Yeah.
like it gets like co-opted, like
Mhm.
everything is like,
Yeah.
kind of mainstream now, where it's like, where
Yeah.
is the underground? I'm sure it's there
Yeah.
somewhere, but where,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
And there's
like
no,
it feels like everything's been co-opted into the mainstream, like, kink and everything. Just like
yeah,
everything is like all
everything.
out there.
I told my godson the other day, I said, don't have any tattoos because you'll look really weird, and if you don't have any compared to everyone else, if you don't have any, you'll be the odd one out.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is, because it was a real identifier, and it was a real wow, okay, that you could gravitate towards those people and that. But now I don't know how kids do that.
Yeah, and I think maybe magic is still not totally mainstream, even though like aesthetics wise it did seep in, and there is like
Yeah,
witch talk and all of this kind of
yeah,
thing, but like
yeah.
maybe that's more surface, or maybe that does have depth to it. I don't know.
Right. Maybe they don't need it anymore because maybe they're more accepted in general. I don't know. I went to the satanic flea market in
That's a
London
fun
a
event. Yeah.
couple of weeks ago, and it was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people doing stuff that had they been doing that in the 80s, it would have been like, what's what the fuck? And so maybe maybe the gang just got so big. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe like you said, it's just become people just see it as like aesthetic choices and not
Yeah.
something so threatening.
Mm. But is it still required as it was back then? Because I mean, it was my lifeline. It really was. After being told that I was this, freak that should just not exist, and then to be welcomed by this group of people in London that were like, wow, come and be with us, be yourself, and stuff. That was so liberating and such a safety net.
No,
Yeah.
and those spaces are important, because like that goth club, I mean, that guy saved my life. That club wasn't open to go to. I don't know what would have happened to me. But
Right.
always like, starting at like 8 p.m., I had a place to be during the night till
Mm.
like 5 in the morning. So that kept me
Yeah.
pretty, off the streets and safe for the most part.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's true.
it's like a real lifesaver. I'm gonna talk
Yeah.
to soon this guy in Amsterdam named Freak Wallig, who's also a magical person. And he just became like what's called the nightmare there, where it's like they're trying to like co-opt these kind of like underground spaces in Amsterdam that of course have like so much more liberal rules,
Mm.
historically, and it's becoming this more like touristy like scene, and the like local underground people are getting upset. They don't want their scene to be like co-opted and commodified and turned into like tourist business, and it's just one of the things he talks about is like it's really important for these spaces for young people that don't have places to go, that are outcast, that they have like a community. I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
LGBTQ community,
exactly.
this like goth magic community. Like people need community that aren't like
Yeah.
of the mainstream.
They do, and I also think they need physical community, because I think the internet is wonderful. I mean, it's also, horrific as well, but it can be wonderful as a place of connection as well. But I think that physical connection is a different matter completely. It takes it to a whole new level. If you can be in a room, in a club, in a whatever, with people that are of the same ilk, it's so much more real than the internet as well. If you're in a chat group of people, that's great, do it. But if you can get to the real thing, then I think that's so much better. It really is.
Yeah, you might
what
have to
I'm happy
move. You might have to move from your hometown.
Yeah, do it.
To find the others.
You know what? That would be my suggestion to any kid in a little town where they're just getting, it's like, get the fuck out as soon as you can.
Yeah, there's a whole big wide world out there.
I'm so glad I did. I mean, gosh, I mean, and my bad start is in some ways the energy that I need to keep me going. That's the fuel in my tank, basically, as well. Is when you come from such a bad start, it's like it really spurs you on and on and on to get.
Yeah, you learn to create a new world of your own as for survival.
Yeah, I go into it in my High on Platforms book that my first experience of that was when I was about 11, and I on my council estate, the first ever immigrants moved 3 doors down, and they were from Bangladesh, and the whole of the estate that I lived on, the council estate, were all like, oh, calling them names and stuff, and I was just like. And I instantly became adopted by them. I would go around to their house and just hang out there all the time, and I'd eat their food. I'd listen to their music. It was, to me, that was like, wow, there is more to life than just this little, hick town. There are these people that worship these wonderful gods, and they eat this weird food and wear these amazing clothes, and I'm like, I want to go where they came from. Yeah, so they kind of adopted me as well, which was interesting because my brother was a right-wing skinhead. We shared a bedroom, and on my side of the room I would have anti-Nazi things eventually when I became a punk, and he would have National Front. I mean, and he would be like yeah, awful. So it was really going against that grain. So yeah, I just was, like a sponge, wanting anything else that wasn't what I was from. So yeah, get out of town, I would say, kids.
Yeah, I'm with you. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention that we didn't get to? Anything coming up, or anything else you want to plug, or anything like that?
Not really. I think we covered everything, actually.
I think so.
I think we actually did. Yeah, I think we did. It's been wonderful speaking with you.
Absolutely. And you do have to finish your book because I want to read it.
I know, I will. I know. You can take on General and I say, be where the fuck is this fucking book?
Yeah, and you can ask me because I've been
I
working
will.
on mine for a couple of years now too. And I keep
Deal.
saying, I have this book that's coming out.
Okay.
I've noticed in posts like from a couple of years ago, I was saying that. So
I know. I will.
Maybe when I feel comfortable, I'll send you like a little snippet and see what you think.
Likewise, I'll send you some stuff too. Yes. Oh, actually, I will. Yeah. Fantastic.
That would be fun.
Yeah, let's do an exchange. Yeah,
okay.
Good.
That'll get a fire under my ass.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Jen would love that.
All right, B. So just which song you want me to put at the end?
Okay.
And just let me know, and then
yeah, should I tell you the song now, or should
I?
Yeah, it's going to be My Frozen Heart
by Into
a Circle. It's the one that I don't know if I told you the story of that song.
Well, tell me the story of the song.
So basically, I dated for like 4 years. I was going out with a Thai guy called M, and when we stopped dating, we still were very close, really, really close. And M very suddenly passed. Jen met him too, actually, when Jen came over, and Janess, they hung out, and Jackie hung out with M. And anyway, so M passed away very suddenly, and we were talking every day before he passed away. He was in hospital and stuff, and he thought he was getting better, but then went into a coma. And and passed away. It ripped my heart out. I didn't know how to handle it. And so a friend suggested that I did the bardo for him, which I did. Every night I lit the candle and read the bardo to his spirit. I called him and read it. Anyway, a year later, I was speaking with a clairvoyant who was an amazing guy actually, and he contacted my mom and stuff. But then he said, I've got this person here, and he said that when he died, you really helped him because he didn't know he was dead. And he said, somehow you helped him with that. And so instantly I knew, and I also felt like bursting into tears, which is odd because where I'm from, I never cry. I'm from Barnsley. You didn't, is a weakness. You don't cry. It's very hard for me to cry. But M used to cry all the time. I would look over and he'd have tears running down his face, and I'd be like, what's wrong? And there would be some song on the radio, but it just made him cry. Or if anyone shouted at him, he would cry. And so I got really emotional. I wanted to burst into tears. And he said, oh, I've got him. And he said, you did something for him. And I said, oh yeah, when he passed, I wrote a book of our memories, and I had it translated into Thai with photographs, and I gave it to his mom and his sister as a remembrance thing. And he said, oh yeah, he loves that. But he said, do you do music? Because he wants you to write him a song. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do music, but I'm not in a band at the moment. And he went, oh, well, can you write him a song, please? Because he really wants you to write him a song. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I didn't. And then my friend bought me another session with this guy a year later. And then he said, he was saying other things. And he said, now I've got this person here. And we established it was M. And then he said, you were supposed to do something for him and you've not done it. What is it? And I'm like, and I knew, but I didn't say. And then he went, it's something you've not done it. He says it's a song. You haven't written it for him. He really wants you to write this song. And I was like, okay, well, actually, I'm doing music again now, so I can do that. So a week later, I got this music from Barry, who's the other half of Into a Circle. And I thought, okay, I'll write the song for M. And so I started playing the music and trying to write, and it was just wasn't working. It was too gushing. It was too, yeah. So I just thought, okay. So I lit a candle and I said, okay, you can come and help me do this. So I called his spirit, and I instantly, I felt like bursting into tears. I really felt, and I got this overwhelmed emotion, and then bam, I just wrote these lines down. And it was pretty much, when I actually recorded it in the studio, I didn't change much. I did change a few words, but not much. And every time I sing it, even when I hear it, sometimes I get this overwhelming emotion, and I just feel like crying. It's insane, because nothing else can do that to me. Nothing does. It's so for me, it's a really potent song. And I've said before that if in my whole life there was only one thing I did, which was write that song, I would be happy. If you could take everything away except one thing that I'd done, it would be that one song that I would keep. Yeah. So it's a really potent, song. Yeah. When we performed it in London, fuck, that was so hard, because I was like trying not to cry, but I just felt this emotion choked up in my throat and stuff. Yeah. So that's it's called My Frozen Heart. Yeah.
And that's the song we'll hear at the end of this episode. Perfect. Well, thank you, Bee.
Thank you, Sawadee Krap. That's my Thai way. That was so lovely.